Hello there. Welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan. That's Paul Chian. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and it is our pleasure to bring you round 16 coverage. This, of course, is where things get ratcheted up all the way. We've got a pure winning in our feature match area here. The winner of the match between Lucas Esper Berthoud and Luis Salvatto will secure their second Pro Tour top 8, and the loser, nothing doing. So let's head on down. It's time for round number 16. Hello and welcome back to coverage here at Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Chian, and it is time for round 16 action. This is where things get extremely intense, and we have an insane matchup down here. You'll notice that these two gentlemen are wearing the same shirt. They both play for Team Hawaruia Latin, and they are facing off against each other in an elimination match for top 8. Is it going to be Lucas Esper Berthoud or is it going to be Luis Salvatto? We're going to find out right now. The winner of this match will advance to the top 8 of this Pro Tour, and the loser is going to go home with a story. So we have the highest of possible stakes for these two players here as they duke it out. And like I said, they're teammates. Yeah, there were 5 players sitting at X and 3. One of those players had to get paired down against Lucas Esper Berthoud, who was sitting at 11-3-1. Luis Salvatto thought he was locked for the top 8 because all he needed to do was get paired against another 12-3 and pick up the draw. But unfortunately, he was the one person who got paired against his teammate. Now, there is an X and 4 that would be able to make the top 8, but Luis Salvatto's tiebreaks are so poor, we believe that if he loses this game, he will not make it based on his tiebreaker. So Luis absolutely has to win. So a true winning in here. Now we've got lantern control in the hands of Luis Salvatto. 5-color humans for Lucas Esper Berthoud. They could not be on more opposite ends of the spectrum despite being teammates. What do we think about for the matchup? Yeah, this is really, like, Lucas has an amazing hand here. There's so many ways to disrupt Luis here. Take a look here. We have 2 copies of Meddling Mage and a Kitesail Freebooter, and basically the only card that really matters in this matchup is Ensnaring Bridge. And Lucas has the opportunity to play Meddling Mage on turn 2, naming Ensnaring Bridge. And if he does, Luis Salvatto is going to have a really difficult time winning the game. He needs to find a way then to deal with the Meddling Mage, and I think, you know, Pyrite Spellbomb, he does play that card, but I don't know how many copies he actually has. Interesting here as well from Salvatto. He took away one of the 2 copies of Meddling Mage. You rarely see players do that unless they have an additional answer. Yeah, and I don't think he does, but I think he wants to put himself in a situation where he can find another, maybe if he draws another hand disruption spell, he can at least deal with the Meddling Mage. And now, I don't think he has a hand disruption spell, so Ancient Stirrings? Maybe Lucas doesn't name it Ensnaring Bridge. Well, he's got it all. He's dumping his hand, Codex Shredder, Lantern of Insight, Mox Opal's turned on, and he can cast his Ancient Stirrings here. Yeah. And at this point, Lucas does have a really nice setup here. This is kind of the ideal start, right? You have the hand disruption. You have, sorry, Luis, you have the hand disruption, you have the Lantern with the Millrock in the Codex Shredder, and you have the Ensnaring Bridge. But Lucas does have that Meddling Mage, and he has to name Ensnaring Bridge here. So this is an absolutely key part of this entire first game, and it's happening right now. He's going to go for the Kitesail Freebooter. Interesting. Which has a similar effect. And that he gets to take it away. This is a little bit riskier. Right, because he has that Codex Shredder on the battlefield. Also, he can... Ancient Stirrings is now on top of his library. And he has a Word of Invention in his deck as well. So if he found a Word of Invention, he could have Word of Invention for the bridge. I suppose Meddling Mage would also not stop that, because you Meddling Mage the Ensnaring Bridge. Right, and it just gets put into play. But still... Luis Salvatto has cast Ancient Stirrings here, perhaps finding him an additional copy, though. It looks like he's going to have to settle for a land here. Oh, so he missed. Darkslick Shores. Oh, well, there's a Pyrite Spellbomb. That is amazing. Lucas doesn't really have a lot of pressure right now. All he has is that Kitesail Freebooter. He's probably going to play a Meddling Mage, although given that there's a Pyrite Spellbomb on top, might look to do something else instead. So Luis is picking up a warning here. He actually played an additional land this turn.
Oh. He's like, whoops.
Perhaps the nerves getting a little bit to him here. This is an extremely high-stakes match, one of the high stakes of his career. Luis Salvatto has been in the Pro Tour top 8 before at PT Shadows over Innistrad. So this isn't his first rodeo, but still, you know, you can get shaken up a little bit when you know the stakes, especially when you're playing against a teammate. This
is kind of a tricky situation here. So Lucas, you know, given that he knows that Pyrite Spellbomb is on top, he could name Meddling Mage on Pyrite Spellbomb. But if he does, Luis is just going to mill the Pyrite Spellbomb and just choose not to draw it here.
Yeah, he can just find it later.
So yeah, this makes sense.
For Thalia's Lieutenant instead. And that's going to get him in for a couple of damage.
Yeah, the Thalia's Lieutenant was actually very strong here because now he gets to protect his Kitesail Freebooter from that Pyrite Spellbomb that's on top of Luis Salvatto's library. So now Luis has to make the decision. Does he want this Pyrite Spellbomb or does he want to just continue digging?
Spellbomb it is.
Okay, so Luis choosing to play it a little bit slow here.
Pyrite Spellbomb looks pretty good.
So Lucas likely going to play another human here to pump up that Thalia's Lieutenant. Oh, and he's got a really nice card in hand. Now he's got a Kessig Malcontents in hand. So all he needs to do right now is just try to get in as much damage as possible before Luis finds a way to get Ensnaring Bridge on the battlefield. Then he can use that Kessig Malcontents to finish Luis off.
Yeah, that is a huge draw. He's only got 2 of those in his library. But if you've seen Lantern Control in action before, you'll know how the board state looks.
Right.
Generally speaking, Lucas could end up with 5, 10 creatures on the battlefield easily.
Yeah.
And Luis is just hiding behind an Ensnaring Bridge saying, yeah, you can't get me. But a card like Kessig Malcontents actually gives this human's deck the kind of reach that can win from that situation. But one of the ways that Luis can prevent that, of course, is by milling it away, you know, making sure that you never draw it. But with it in hand for Lucas Esper Berthoud, gives him a big leg up here.
And not only that,
and right now he's jamming too.
Yeah, he is, and he's playing just another 3 toughness creature here to kind of play around the Pyrite Spellbomb. Oh, and Luis does know about the Kessig Malcontents because, of course, he did cast that Inquisition on turn 1.
Yeah, he just wanted to double check exactly what it did.
Now he's just looking to dig.
Yeah,
and
Pyxis of Pandemonium, is that what he wants?
Yeah, he's just questioning to himself, like, how much time do I actually have? Do I want this Pyxis? Can I afford to take one more hit this turn? And it looks like that's what he's choosing to do here. Next turn, he's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If Lucas Esper Berthoud plays another human, that's up to 7. That would put him down to 7. He still has an active Pyrite Spellbomb, which he could use to deal with the Thalia's Lieutenant.
Yes.
Because Lucas doesn't have a way to currently flash in a creature because he doesn't have an Aether Vial on the battlefield. And if you notice, Ancient Ziggurat, once again, on Lucas's side, many members of his team actually opted to play Collected Company and go further up the curve. But Lucas decided, you know what? I want to play Aether Vial. I want to keep it a little lower to the ground. And so I'm going to play Ancient Ziggurat here instead.
There's Thalia now for Lucas Esper Berthoud, but Luis says, hold on a second.
I think he wants to preserve his life total, but first he wants to get a little more information.
Yep, he wants to get rid of that second Lantern of Insight. And he's going to remind Lucas there, you do need to reveal the top card of your library still. Do it again.
Oh, and there's a Whir of Invention. There is a Whir of Invention. Yeah, and now that there's a Whir of Invention, he wants to minimize the damage that he takes from the Kessig Malcontents. So I could see him use the Pyrite Spellbomb to get that Thalia's Lieutenant off the board. If he does that, he only takes 4, goes to 10, and Luis Salvatto can use the Whir of Invention to find that Ensnaring Bridge. And really, the humans deck doesn't have a lot of answers.
No, they really don't. They can take it out of your hand, as we've seen.
Right.
They can prevent you from casting it. But Whir of Invention gets around a lot of this, especially now that he's got it. And, you know, I was just going to say, he has all the pieces that you would want, right?
Yeah.
You know,
so
he has the 2 mill rocks. He has the the lantern itself. He just didn't have the bridge.
Yeah, so he can now basically prevent Lucas from ever attacking him. The only thing he wants to do now is try to find a hand disruption spell to get that Kessig Malcontents out of Lucas's hand. You know, he only has the one copy in his hand, but keep in mind, if you have copies of Phantasmal Image, you can copy that Kessig Malcontents. So Luis right now, in order to finish off this game, is really looking for a hand disruption spell. He wants to find an Inquisition of Kozilek to get that Kessig Malcontent out of his hand.
Now, what about for Lucas? Does he just try to flood the board with humans and then finish off with the Malcontents and maybe the...
That should be his game plan, yes.
Okay, so he's just going to start casting humans. Now, this is interesting because he can use Meddling Mage to name a hand disruption spell if he'd like.
Yeah, I think Inquisition of Kozilek is a really good name here to prevent Luis from taking the Kessig Malcontents out of his hand.
I think he named... Is that, say, Abrupt Decay, maybe? No, that can't be it.
No.
What does that say on it?
Abrupt Decay?
He did name Abrupt Decay.
That is really interesting. Abrupt Decay.
I mean, that is a good removal spell, you know, to help protect his board here, but he knows he's not going to be able to attack anymore.
I guess he names Abrupt Decay. His plan here is to play a Kessig Malcontent and then play the Phantasmal Image and hope that Luis doesn't have an Abrupt Decay to interact with.
To disrupt it.
To disrupt him.
Okay, so he's taking he's trying to take away the proactive ways that Luis has, though he does have 4 Inquisition and 3 Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
Does Luis Salvatto.
And also keep
1 Abrupt Decay in the list.
And how many Kessig Malcontents are on the list?
2.
2? Okay, so one thing now that Luis can do, keep in mind, he's got that Codex Shredder on the battlefield.
Yes.
He can use Codex Shredder to get back the Pyrite Spellbomb in his graveyard, use the Pyrite Spellbomb, keep it on the battlefield so that Lucas cannot actually use the Phantasmal Image to copy the Kessig Malcontent. And I think that's what he needs to do here.
He used Codex Shredder to get back Whir of Invention. Oh. There's an Inquisition of Kozilek, Paul.
There is an Inquisition. Oh, this also makes sense. I believe he can use Whir of Invention if he's playing 1 copy of Witchbane Orb. I think that also works.
He is.
And I think that's the full lock.
That is the point
does
at
he
which
have
Lucas...
one Witchbane Orb? He does. Okay.
In the main deck, he has that. You see these type of silver bullet cards in the main deck as one-ofs when people play Whir of Invention so that they can set exactly these scenarios up. It means that he has hexproof. And Kessig Malcontents can save him from... It can save him from Kessig Malcontents here.
And I think this effectively locks Lucas out. And if Lucas wants a chance of winning, I think he just needs to concede here because Luis Salvatto is in with a draw. So if this game goes on, he doesn't really mind because he's happy picking up the draw here. But Lucas absolutely has to win.
Where's that Witchbane Orb?
Yeah, the War of Invention was kind of the final piece to this deck. I mean, the deck was already fairly strong. And the fact that now you can pit a bunch of different bullets into your deck.
Where is the Witchbane Orb?
Helps out. Is it still in his sideboard?
Like, he's looking for it, and I feel like he's like...
There's a Grafdigger's Cage. There's 2 Grafdigger's Cage. I think he submitted an insufficient... He just doesn't have it. I think it's in his sideboard.
He does not have it in his 60-card deck.
I see 2 cages. He probably had a second cage in his sideboard.
He has one Grafdigger's Cage in his sideboard and 1 main.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, this is a disaster for Luis Salvatto. He's going to have a chat with the judge and say, the card I'm looking for is in my main deck, and I can't find it. And guess what?
My.
He just went to his sideboard. This is disaster.
Yeah, because he played against Corey Burkhardt in the last round and had the second Grafdigger's Cage out of the sideboard because it's very good against those Snapcaster Regis. Oh, no.
Okay, well,
what happens?
I don't know. And it's up to the judges to decide how this is going to go.
Oh, my.
And you can see him give a little head shake there. He's just like, this is not how I drew this up. The crazy part is that Witchbane Orb was game.
Yeah, that was going to lock up the game.
Yeah, like there was a chance that Lucas just said, oh, you're going to get Witchbane Orb, I'll scoop.
Oh, concede,
like
right.
That, I've seen that happen before. And I saw him looking through his library multiple times, and he could not find it. Let's see what happens here.
And he did declare it for 4.
Yeah, that's
so now Lucas can just play Phantasmal Image. If he's not allowed to get the Witchbane Orb, there's nothing he can do.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is letting the judges do their job, which is they're checking the number of cards in his presented library and seeing exactly what happened. Let's listen to Guillaume here.
Like at the beginning of the game. So what I need to do now is to count
I count every card, and this is the extra card.
So you have an extra card?
No. I mean, switch.
No, you have 60 cards, not 59. Okay, thank you.
So that's the first thing that the judges are gonna rule on here, because if he's presented a 59 card deck, that's much different than a 60 card deck, even if there's one card that's not supposed to be in there.
Right, and if it's just a 1-for-1 swap, can you make that swap? And
Don't
what
know.
happens if he drew both copies of Grafdigger's Cage? Then what happens?
Well, then you'd have to call the judge on himself and say, wait a second.
Exactly.
This isn't supposed to happen.
Wow, and Luis had
This is
this game
heartbreaking
locked
stuff
up.
because Luis had this game.
And not only that, he got pared down this round.
I mean, it looks like he's going to lose this game one way or the other.
Right.
Right. I mean, let's just say that the judge says, okay, everything's fine, no penalties whatsoever. What is Luis doing here? He just cast Whir of Invention. Can he get anything that matters?
I don't think so, because he doesn't have access
That's
to
his
mana.
best case scenario.
Right. Wow. He could have also used that Codex Shredder to get back the Spellbomb, but this was the better play. This completely locked Lucas Esper Berthoud out of the game.
With the win on the stack.
Oh, my.
Again, the judges just being thorough and double-checking everything. Nothing that Lucas can do from this perspective either. He just has to sit here and wait for the ruling.
When there is a failure to the sideboard, there is a situation where we can switch a card, but the condition is you need to have 0 of this card in your main deck, because we need to know which card it was. Because you have more than a copy of this card, we don't know if it's a sideboard one or the main one.
No, this is I played this on the sideboard, and it's not good against him, and I switch.
Did you place this card so far?
No, it was in the library. I play one copy in the main deck.
But did you reveal or place this card during the game?
No.
This game?
No, it was.
They're asking if they saw the Grafdigger's Cage this game.
And I believe they did not.
I don't think we have, yeah.
So this doesn't happen all that often, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what happened. As you heard from the judge, Luis Salvatto has one main and one sideboard. So does that mean if it was a Relic of Progenitus, he would have been able to make the switch?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Because you have a copy of this card in your sideboard and in your main deck, the penalty here is a deck-list problem, and it's upgraded as a game loss. So this game will finish with a game loss, and we will go to game.
It's heartbreaking.
I understand what you say, but what the discarded part, I don't understand why.
Okay. Can we just have the discussion?
All right, so they're gonna have a chat away from the table. That's fine. But what the ruling that has been given down is that this is a game loss. The deck error is severe enough that it will be a game loss. So why don't we pop over in one of our side tables here, if possible, while they get that sorted out. You know, this is something that Luis has every right to, is to have this fully explained to him so that he understands what's going on. But I'm pretty confident that at the end of it, there will, in fact, be a game loss given, and that will be Lucas Esper Berthoud inexplicably winning game number 1 in a game that it looked like he had no chance to win. And yeah, this is not where you want to see this kind of thing happen. But this,
not really the way you want to win either.
No,
but,
I can't imagine that Lucas is thrilled with this either. Again, this is his teammate that he's playing against. But the rules are rules. You know, that they're in there for a specific reason, and they must be followed. So that is what's going to happen there. In the meantime, let's look at Andrea Mengucci versus Makis Matsoukas. As we come into this one, Andrea Mengucci actually won the first game already.
Wow.
Yes, and looks like he's got Kataki's War's Wage on the battlefield here as well versus Makis.
Wait, whoa, he drew a card. He drew a card, and he needs to pay for the Ether Vials. Kataki's on the battlefield. He drew the card.
Yes.
He put it back, but
Absolutely.
he definitely drew that card.
Wow, this is just a
What is
crazy
going
last
on?
round of Swiss here
I mean,
today,
there's a
Paul.
lot of nerves.
Yes, I mean, you know the kind of pressure that the players can be under, but that that is going to be really tough for Mengucci because the ether vials may be going bye-bye here, but they're going to need to get a judge over. Oh, maybe not.
What? Wait.
It
It looks like they're just playing. Okay, looks like the judges are going to have to take a look at that.
Yeah, because this has happened before, and if you do draw your card, that means the trigger has already happened, and I believe that the ether vial should be in the graveyard, given that Andrea put the card in his hand.
Right. That's how I saw it too.
Right.
But again, this is something that the judges are just going to have to work out. So, wow, a very eventful round number 16 thus far here from Bilbao. You can see on our main table the players have in fact gone to sideboarding here in heading to game number 2, and also you can see that Lucas Esper Berthoud has that mark by his name. That means that was a game lost. That is what happened, and Luis Salvatto is in the position where he's going to have to shake off a major setback here. This is one of those things that happens that it can be really difficult to recover from mentally, because you think of the opportunity, right? You just think, I was one game away from a top 8, and he's going to have to really kind of buckle down and try to beat Lucas Esper Berthoud in 2 straight games. And it has been a really rough ride here for Salvatto, by the way. Okay, well, the ruling on the Andrea Mengucci here is that he did not draw a card and that they're still in his upkeep.
So was that just looking at extra cards, I guess? Because
So that's the ruling. So he is going to have a chance to pay for Kataki to keep around. Well, it looks like 1 ether vial. He'll let the other one go. He's going to target the Edge champion, but Makis can get.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at this. He can
nice.
get Metalcraft at instant speed, but Gut Shot actually takes out the Blinkmoth Nexus, and that means no more Metalcraft and a huge attack from Mengucci.
You go to 13.
By the way, Andrea Mengucci and Makis Matsoukas are both at 11 and 4. So this is not a clean win-in for them. They are looking to try to stay in that fray for the couple of people that may be able to get in at X and 4 here, Paul.
Right, because I'm looking at the tiebreakers here, and Andrea Mengucci and Junhao Tai are neck and neck. They are 0.0006% apart on tiebreaks. So even if Andrea wins, if Junhao also wins, it's anybody's game.
Okay, so this one is extremely important here as well, and Makis Matsoukas finds himself extremely far behind, perhaps dead on board.
Excuse me. 4, 6, sorry, okay, perfect. 10 damage.
Andrea was just double counting to make sure that the number of damage that he dealt last turn was correct. Matsoukas,
yeah, he got so close. He's
sitting on, I think, a Vault Scourge as well as the Edge Champion, which he can't cast.
Yeah, I think
and facing down a massive board here.
Yeah, this is likely the game. He cannot cast both of the creatures in his hand because he does not have Metalcraft. Oh, and currently
he just can't catch the champion anyway. Oh, so that was his upkeep. Well,
all right. So he can play both of the cards. However, it is an Edge champion without Metalcraft
that he can't cast,
along with the Vault Scourge. So
it's Reflector Mage, so it's stuck. Now he did find himself a potential blocker here, though, Paul. He found Inkmoth Nexus, and what he's doing is he's reading and getting of the trials right now to see if it's indestructible, has damage prevented to it, etc.
Right. Yeah, but it's hard to imagine Andrea actually losing this game at this point. He has an overwhelming board. Makis has 0 sources of damage currently.
I mean, he's taking his time here, but there's really not much going on.
And Andrea does have a lethal attack next turn, I believe, 4, 8, 10, 14.
He does.
So Makis does have to actually chump block.
He can't recast the the edge champion here, so they're going to have to get another judge over here to remind them.
Yes. My opponent played the match.
I tried to play this, but
Oh, right. Oh, man.
Yeah, it was Reflector Mage. So
Yeah.
So your hand and your mana is on top.
I think Andrea's okay with this a little bit just because I think he kind of smells the victory here.
I mean, I'm not.
he's right.
But yeah.
well, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
of
up to
course.
Andrea.
Yeah.
he said, "Judge, this happened."
Right,
and-
no,
and, you know.
of course, of
Yeah.
course.
But
And-
yeah, I think Andrea's okay with.
Because he tapped the 4.
A lot of
played
things.
both creatures.
Yeah, it was a little bit awkward. Andrea's correct. He did just tap
It's okay,
all
it's okay.
four
I'm
and
just-
just put
I'm
both
just,
down. It's not clear exactly what happened in what order.
Right, so the
Yes,
question
yes,
is, does Macias have to tap all his mana now, or can he just rewind and just play the Vault Scourge?
Right. I think that's
11.
probably the ruling here, and it looks like it.
Wait.
Go
All
to
right,
5.
getting in for one here. Interesting. Andrea just has to pay for the Ether Vial here.
If he wants to keep it, he may just let it go at this point.
But it is still giving him
It does give
2
him
mana.
one. Yeah, exactly. Effectively an additional mana. And also, you see that he's got the Horizon Canopy too. Oh, he's just going to let it go.
Okay. Guess he has a 2-drop. Maybe he's looking
Finds a
to
land for
play.
the turn anyway. And it feels like Kataki's done his job, and maybe it's just time to get in with.
Oh, that's a Horizon
everybody.
Canopy. That must be different art.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a canopy.
All right, so Andrea did find a human here with the unclaimed territory, so he can name human to pump up the champion of the parish here. Make it into a 5/5. Is there a way that Macias could like draw Galvanic Blast and attack for lethal and have Metalcraft? Is that?
He needs to
so.
block here, right? And if Manguchi forces the issue,
So does he not play the Noble Hierarch here? I guess the Kotaki isn't really even doing a whole lot
that's what
anymore.
I'm saying. It kind of
Yeah.
did its job,
Right.
right? Like what's because Macias is forced to block here.
Yeah, so if Macias just blocks the Kotaki, then he just dies. So he needs to block the biggest creature on the battlefield.
Exactly. So Kataki's a free attack there.
6, 10.
And this is still going to put Macias down to 1.
Right.
I assume that he doesn't have outs at this point. I mean, he does have 5 poison on Andrea, but, you know, the normal cards you think of in this scenarios are like cranial platings, but those don't do anything. And that's the hand
all
extended.
right.
Andrea Manguchi defeats Makis Matsoukas. Now, Andrea is not necessarily into the top 8, but he is going to be standing with his teammates, friends, and countrymen with his fingers crossed and just hoping to get in because he has put himself in a position where he could make the top
What
8.
if I block,
Or-
like block though?
Narrowly
I
missed.
move it to Ornithopter and you lose.
All right. Well,
Battle cry from.
No, I block Ornithopter and Ink.
Okay, so let's get
Okay,
back
then,
to business here. Everybody take a deep breath.
Oh,
still got
It's time for game
a lot
number
to play
2.
for
That's
here.
right. And Luis Salvatto still has the chance to run back-to-back games to overcome that mistake.
So Luis with lots of hand disruption and a Lantern of Insight, but no Ensnaring Bridge and no, no Mill Rock. So he's really hoping that he sees something interesting on the top of his deck. But being first, he can try to slow down Lucas's hand. Yeah, Lucas might not even have a play here.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Luis can just strip his entire hand here if he wants.
Buy himself some time, but he's going to need more than this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a good start for Luis if he's going to slow down Lucas significantly, but he's going to need to start putting pieces together very quickly because Lucas is going to have draw after draw where he's going to be finding a lot of threats.
So there's a Meddling Mage and a Kitesail Freebooter. I imagine Luis is just going to take the Meddling Mage as well here. And then Lucas basically is just on 2 lands and a Mantis Rider. Luis is just really hoping that Lucas doesn't find a 2-mana disruptive element here.
Okay.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, there's
Most
Deck
of his
is
deck
full of
are
it, for sure.
cheap and disruptive.
it looks like a Champion of the Parish maybe. Or, no. Kataki.
Wars. Is that a disruptive element?
So did the other land name Spirit? Or did he say human?
Oh,
God, what is going on today?
I don't know what's happening today. This is just crazy. Right. Kataki, not a human.
Right.
And so
he did play that land.
Oh, this is both human. I cannot guess this.
Yeah. So this is an illegal play?
Yeah.
This comes back to your hand?
Yeah.
You're stuck with this land?
He cannot cast Kataki this turn. He's going to have to settle for nothing.
Goodness, yeah.
And pass the turn.
Warnings today?
I think so, yes.
Okay, I'll check.
They're checking on if he's gotten any other warnings today, and things are just weird today in round 16.
Absolutely, and at this point, Luis knows Lucas's hand. He was kind of thinking about whether or not he should play the Glimmer Void in case Lucas had something like a Vithian Renegades, but that is impossible based on the fact that he saw the Kataki, which is the card that he drew, and he knows about the Mantis Rider.
Yeah, that was the downside for Lucas as he showed him. Is he just going to play the Mantis Rider here?
I think the Mantis Rider makes more sense here.
I do too. Just start clocking him.
Yeah.
Kataki's doing very little here anyway. There's only one artifact on the battlefield.
Just really needs Ensnaring Bridge, and there it is.
Oh, Ensnaring Bridge sitting on top of the library.
And at this point, he doesn't even need to Abrupt Decay the Mantis Rider. He can just take another hit here if he wants and save that Abrupt Decay for the Kataki. He also has a Pyroclasm, it looks like, in his hand to deal with that Kataki if he wants.
So, Luis Salvatto looking pretty good here.
So just to let you know, we're going to check to make sure you don't have
There's Message Malcontents.
Okay.
That can be a problem.
If you do, then obviously...
Though it looks like it's miles away from being a major issue at this point.
I feel like Lucas probably just wants to get in for as much damage as possible, given that he knows the Ensnaring Bridge is on top. So this is 6 damage. Oh,
okay. And it looks like Luis Salvatto is a little spooked here by the double Mantis Rider draw.
Right.
And he's going to go ahead and take one of them down. He could have taken that hit, but I think he's looking over at the library of Lucas and saying, "Oh, Message Malcontents, I might not find an answer in time."
And he also knows about the Kataki. Of
course.
But so he can just use the Pyroclasm to deal with the Kataki.
That's
so now,
right.
As long as Luis just remembers to pay. There we go.
Pay.
And
he finds Ancient Stirrings.
Oh, wow. That is also very strong. But I think he's... What do you want to do here?
Well, it's interesting because he's just going to fire off Ancient Stirrings.
I think he might want to find a Mill Rock here just to slowly try to control the game. And it's good that he cast Ancient Stirrings. He dug 5 cards deep and couldn't find one.
So that means it's more likely he'll find them in the future. He decided just to cast the Spell Bomb.
Yeah, and
he needs to get it out of his hand.
With the upkeep trigger on the stack, he can just sacrifice the Pyrite Spell Bomb to get the Kataki off the board if he wanted to.
Keep this on stack.
This on the stack, he says. This is exactly what you just described, Paul.
Oh, he's choosing to draw a card here. Still looking for that Mill Rock. Inspire is very strong here.
Go for the 2.
Then now he can use the Pyroclasm. Because he doesn't want to take the damage either. Do you want to take 2 here?
This does mean taking 2. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just says, no, I don't want to.
Right.
I mean, he kind of pointed it at
He
Kataki.
currently does not... He will not be gaining life yet off the Inventor Sphere. I believe you need 3 artifacts in play for it to trigger.
He might just keep that Mishra's Bauble around.
Yeah, just to search.
Yeah. Usually you fire it off pretty quickly, but...
So there is the bauble. Now he has the Inventor's Fair in play as well. Is he going to use it? Yes. And I think he's probably going to look for a Codex Shredder, potentially a Pixis. But no, he went for the Codex Shredder here. So he wants to lock up the game now. And he's sitting at a fairly comfortable 12 life as well.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's really starting to slip away from Lucas Esper Berthoud.
Oh, and a War of Invention as well.
Okay. That could just represent another, we call them a lock piece.
Right.
They're all kind of soft locks, but when you put enough of them together.
Yeah, so upkeep, draw off the bauble. Now that he has that card, he can now Codex Shredder himself if he wants. There is that Horizon Canopy in play, which could be a bit annoying. But, okay, so yeah, he is going to look for a lock piece here.
This is still upkeep as well, right?
Right. Because he had that land on top and he didn't want to draw it. He wants to keep those the Codex Shredder activations up because Lucas still has that Horizon Canopy on the battlefield.
Yeah, he still has his draw step coming to him.
And we have
it, and it's a Thoughtseize.
Oh, and that's going to get the Kessig Malcontents.
Or not.
Or not. Huh.
Salvatto aggressively milling cards away. So he drew that
Okay.
Botanical Sanctum and played it.
The Mantis Rider's not going to do much here.
So where are we at here, Paul? Just give us a snapshot. I mean, Luis has this
Yeah. Pretty
well
clo-
in hand at this
yeah,
point,
pretty
does he
close
not?
to locked up. He's now found a second copy of the Ensnaring Bridge, so now like Vithian Renegades isn't even going to be all that effective.
Look at Ancient Strikes.
Oh, they top card. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at this point, Luis just wants to speed it up so that he could,
Make
try to,
sure to
try
play
to win
game
this
3.
game.
Yeah.
Go to game 3.
Absolutely.
Keep in mind, Luis is still locked in with a draw, but it's really important that he picks up this win.
Yes. Lucas is basically at the mercy of Luis Salvatto here. Wow, we got a big match update from the feature match area here, Paul. John Finkel was playing against Taejun Hao. They're both at 11-4, similar to the Makis Matsoukas and Andrea Mengucci match. The GOAT got there. John Finkel won his match, so he finishes 12-4, and he is in top 8 contention, though it's going to depend on his tiebreakers.
Okay, so he defeated Junhao Tae and
Taejun Hao, yeah.
Taejun Hao. And his just looking at the tiebreakers, John Finkel is a little bit less than 3% tiebreakers behind Andrea Mengucci.
Ooh, that's pretty far.
So Andrea Mengucci is looking pretty good here.
Okay. So here's the Thalia now from Lucas Esper Berthoud, but again,
What is he getting back?
Inventor's Fair.
Gain life every turn, I guess. And there's a War of Invention on top. So this is, yeah. At this point, Luis is basically
Feeling
just all
pretty
but
locked up
this
here,
game,
right?
Yeah. And at this point, I think if I was Lucas Esper Berthoud, I would look to probably concede this game because he absolutely needs to win this match.
By the way, this is our last match going in the feature match area now because Radek Kaczmarczyk from Poland, he's playing Madcap Moon. He wins 2-0 over Carlos Romao, who was on 5-color humans. Also, by the way, plays for Haveruya Latin, same team as these two gentlemen. So Radek is going to put himself in that same conversation with a 12-4 finish and needing his tiebreaks to hold up to be one of those slots that could make it into the top 8.
And now Luis looking for another lock piece here, getting back the Codex Shredder. He also has the Inventor Sphere going, so he's going to be able to gain 1 life every single turn, meaning that the Keswick Malcontents is getting further and further out of reach. And now we're starting to mill. Definitely don't want to give him the Horizon Canopy, as it allows him to have that activation up in case he finds something that he really wants for this matchup. Remembering the Inventor Sphere trigger here. And at this point, Luis can just try to just play it slow, not give away any percentage points. Just make sure he completely locks Lucas out here. He does have the option of using the Inventor Sphere to search for another Codex Shredder type effect, but I think he's also happy just keeping that in play as a way to gain life every single turn.
Not going to lie, Paul, this is normally the part where the Lantern deck kind of, you and I can start talking about baseball or burritos or whatever we want. But
burritos.
Yeah, but I think
I'm interested.
It's not a bad time for us to just take a little bit of a breath. This has been a whirlwind of a last round of Swiss here on day 2.
Okay, and then Luis did give him that Horizon Canopy.
He did let him have it.
Okay,
interesting.
And so at this point, with the 2 mill rocks on the battlefield, I think he's probably going to look for that Witchbane Orb. Okay, nope. It is a Pithing Needle.
Perhaps Horizon Canopy.
Yeah. So he probably wants to mill that because he doesn't want to draw it.
Yeah,
What else do we have? Okay, Lantern is fine. It does give you an extra shuffle. So now he's going to
Go for the bubble.
draw for the bauble, see the card. He can Codex Shredder himself here if he really wants,
For the 2.
but he doesn't want to take any chances here. Just wants to make sure he locks Lucas out here.
Right, there's War of Invention, by the way, Paul. That could be the one that seals the deal.
And Pithing Needle on the battlefield.
Wilson coming.
He's going to name Horizon Canopy, so those are going to be locked down as far as drawing cards goes,
Yeah, and
which is important. Like you said, that actually gave Lucas the ability to manipulate the top of his library on some level, and now that's gone.
yeah, and this game is more or less over.
Yeah.
You know, Lucas has like basically like a 1% chance at this point.
Right.
Now that the Horizon Canopies have been sufficiently locked down, and there's also that Word of Invention on top. Does Luis want to speed this up and try to mill out Lucas here?
He's not super incentivized to do so.
Right, because if Lucas just draws a land, that's totally fine. So you can just play it really slow here and just not give anything away.
Mox Opal on top. He draws the Whir of Invention into his hand.
Yep. Not going to mill that either.
What are the cards that Luis even cares about at this point? Like, what are the ones that he sees on top of the library and says, oh, no, you're not getting that one?
Potentially just more copies of Kessig Malcontents.
Okay,
I don't know how many he has.
Card, yeah.
Yeah, and there we go.
Okay, and this is smart, by the way, from Lucas Esper Berthoud to go ahead and scoop him up here, because if he's going to win this match, he's going to need to do it in game number 3. He was not winning that game, and he wants to make sure that he has enough time to do so as we head into game number 3 between these two. So this is going to be a really intense top 8 announcement that we're going to work our way up to. Of course, we're going to bring you all the details from the outstanding matches of the news desk after we're done with the live portion here from the feature match area. But we've got one more game to go between these two teammates, Lucas Esper Berthoud and Luis Salvatto. They both have one Pro Tour top 8 apiece, including a win for Lucas.
And a nice little bounce back here from Luis. You know,
he seemed calm
after that crushing game 1 call.
I mean, look at him there. He doesn't look particularly bothered by the whole thing. So
yeah, even when he didn't see that he had the Witchbane Orb, he just kind of shrugged. He's like, well, I guess, I mean, whatever happens, happens here, right? I mean, it wasn't in my deck, so whatever the judges rule.
Tell you what, that is not a common mentality, but if you have it, you are heavily advantaged in games like Magic. It's just people that take those type of things really hard or really hard on themselves about them. They tend to set themselves up to fall apart in a situation like this and have a mental break where you're I can't concentrate anymore because I'm still thinking about what I did last game or the turn before. So if that is the case for Luis, we've got to give him props for that. And like I said, watching him play that game, he just sort of calmly moved through the motions and locked Lucas out of the game, and now he's just going to look to do it again.
Yeah, and that was really the...
I mean, of course, inside he could be like flipping the table and screaming at himself.
Of course.
We can't read that.
And that was an ideal start. Lucas actually had quite a strong hand there, but Luis just was able to rip apart their hand and find a timely ensnaring bridge to basically lock up the game. Now that Lucas is on the play, things might change. Luis is only going to have the opportunity to play maybe one hand disruption spell on turn 1, and Lucas has so many ways to disrupt Luis on turn 2 that it's just unlikely that Luis will be able to deal with all of them.
Okay? Yeah. Good luck.
All right. Luis smiles, says good luck to his teammate, and off we go in game number 3. Who's it going to be? Lucas Esper Berthoud or Luis Salvatto?
He's going to 6.
Oh, mulligan here from
they're
both
both
players.
36.
Hey, fair is fair. Yeah, they're going to want to make sure that they're quick here in this part. You can see the clock down at the bottom of your screen. It's not that they're particularly short for time, but get those 7 riffle shuffles in and get these things presented as quickly as possible is in the best interest, certainly of Lucas.
Yeah. The humans deck is pretty fast, so I think this is more than enough time if he has a good draw to win the game.
Absolutely.
And Luis doesn't have to be really, again, concerned about winning the game, just making sure he doesn't lose. And Ensnaring Bridge, of course, being the most important card here. But the Whir of Invention just really proving its worth, being so impressive all weekend.
Yeah, searching up those one-ofs, those silver bullets as we call them, out of the deck to lock out chunks of the opponent's game plan. At instant speed, no less.
Yeah, I mean, just having 5 copies of, like the Witchbane Orb or Pithing Needle, cards like that, really strong.
Super, super strong. And of course, it can also just search up the key pieces of the combo. You know, the combo being Lantern of Insight, Mill Rocks, plus the Ensnaring Bridge. You know, if you find one of those that you need, you can also do it that way.
All right, so Lucas with a pretty land-light hand, but with the turn 1 Ether Vial. So that's going to give him all the mana that he needs. And Luis, though, with the disruption.
So,
2 copies. They always have 2 copies of the same card, right?
Yeah, but this time it's a legendary Thalia, and he's certainly not going to want to take that. So there's Champion of the Parish.
Oh, my. And
wow.
By the way, Luis Salvatto has a Pithing Needle in his hand. And given that Lucas is mana screwed right now, he only has one land.
So he has 1 opening for Ether Vial, and the door's going to close beyond that.
I can see Luis playing a Pithing Needle here on Ether Vial to prevent it from going off. And now
he's
going to want a little extra information. Oh, Stony Silence
on the top of the library.
But he can't cast it. He only has 1 land.
That's right. Now, is this a long-term plan, though, for Luis Salvatto? Can he actually keep Lucas off of land number 2 indefinitely? No way, right?
Right, but he's drawing that Inquisition. Now he can get that Stony Silence out of his hand.
All right. The plan is coming together here for Luis Salvatto.
I think you just want to take that Stony Silence, right? Oh, he has an Abrupt Decay in hand, too.
Okay, so he has answers on answers, and he wants to make sure
this is a really great start here.
Ensnaring Bridge comes out. A fantastic start off, a mulligan to 6 for Salvatto, while Disaster is striking Lucas Esper Berthoud. He has nothing going on.
Oh, also, by the way, that land on top, that's an Ancient Ziggurat. He cannot play Stony Silence.
Absolutely. So here's Thalia, but way too late.
Oh, and a Codex Shredder, too.
Oh boy, this is coming together quickly for Luis Salvatto. He may escape that gaff in game number 1 and come back to win this 2-1. I will remind you at home that Luis Salvatto, if he wins, it's a clean win in it. He is in our top 8. That's it.
It's like, get that Stony Silence out of here.
Get that, and
wow, yeah,
this is just pure misery here for Lucas Esper Berthoud.
It's one of those situations where you're playing for the top 8. You know you more or less are going to lose this game, but you still have to play it out because you never know.
Oh yeah.
This is really tough. So at this point, your opponent is milling Abrupt Decays against your human deck. That's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, you know how far behind you are. Now here's more pieces of the puzzle potentially coming together for Salvatto. He's going to cast Ancient Stirrings.
Luis Salvatto really just doing it the hard way here.
Yeah. He finds Inventor's Fair.
All right, that is another lock piece. Eventually.
Tick-tock. I mean, realistically, if he gets 1 more Mill Rock, that's kind of the point at which, the percentages get down into the low single digits.
Yeah, definitely. And he does have that Codex Shredder. He's going to shred himself, try to find something. And there is a Mox Opal. Now, what he can do here as well is on his upkeep, use the Inventor's Fair if he doesn't want to draw that Mox Opal or use a Codex Shredder to find a Codex Shredder, which would effectively shuffle his deck. But it looks like he's interested in just drawing the mana source.
He does have to pay 1 mana for it, thanks to Thalia.
Ah, right. I mean, I don't think Lucas can win in this. Oh, 1 damage.
Okay.
Got it for 1.
Knocked him back down to 20. That is miles away from getting this thing done, and it feels like Luis Salvatto, the new LSV, has locked this thing up. Lucas Esper Berthoud has to sit here effectively helpless, and like you said, conceding at this point doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right. This is the last round.
This is it
to the top 8. So just play it out. And
do I have any chance of winning?
Yeah.
No.
Do I have any chance of winning?
That is going to do it. Luis Salvatto comes back from that mistake, puts his arms in the air. He has to feel like he's got away with one here, and he makes it into the top 8.
Sorry, what happened?
He has to win. He had to win 3 games in a row, more or less.
Exactly. He's the first one to make a top 8 by going 3-0.
Yeah, I was thinking if I could live with the decision, like how I would feel tonight if I did that. And I remember that sometimes in the past I also got game losses and match losses for dumb things. And you know, if it's in the rules, it's in the rules. I'm sorry. Congrats, man. Let's win tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome stuff from the two friends and teammates there. You heard what he said. He said, I've done stuff like that before. He wished him luck, and he said, let's win tomorrow. And he shook his hand. Really fantastic teamwork and sportsmanship from Lucas Esper Berthoud. I mean, that had to be a frustrating situation for him to be in as well.
Oh, yeah. It puts you in such a tough spot. I mean, your teammates, it's your friend. And you heard him. He's been in situations like that before where he forgot to de-sideboard. He got that game loss. He felt bad. But at the same time, imagine if you won that way.
Right.
It would have just felt so awful.
Oh, yeah. And he said he thought about that, too. So really cool stuff to wrap that one up. It ended on a nice note. Now, I know you're curious. There's a lot of matches that have finished both in the feature match area and outside of it. We've got Rich and everybody at the news desk crunching the numbers and breaking it down to figure out what's going on for the top 8. We're going to take a short break, but we'll have that and more when we come back.
Welcome back to the news desk after quite an interesting little round 16 here at Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan. Yes, we need a couple of minutes to decompress. I'm sure you do too. About 5 minutes ago, Salvatto, we saw him get into the top 8, but about 2 hours before that, Ken Yukihiro of Japan made it into the top 8, and here is Ken.
Brian David Marshall here with the most popular man on Twitch today, Ken Yukihiro, on the brink of his 4th career Pro Tour top 8, and he plays some of the craziest decks on the Pro Tour. Ken Yukihiro, what is it that attracts you to playing with unusual cards?
モダンというフィールドにおいてまっとうに勝負するとどうしても差がつきにくいので、今回はもう自分が信じるモダンというフィールドへの挑戦としてできるだけ相手と付き合わない一方的に叩きつけることができるデッキを選びました。
Tell me about how you and your team came up with this deck.
チームメイトと集まってみんなでマジックオンラインをするという会がありまして、そこでオンライン上であったこのデッキに誰も勝てなくて、あれ実はこのデッキ強いんじゃないかって気づいて、本格的にそこから調整を開始したのがプロツアーに出発する3日前でした。
What is your philosophy about building a deck or playing with cards? We've seen you play with cards like Weaver of Lies, Bone Picker, now Hollow One, cards that we don't see a lot of other players playing with, but you're playing them at the highest level of the Pro Tour. What attracts you to those types of cards?
僕はメジャーなデッキを打ち倒すチャレンジャーである時の方が強いので、みんなが使っているデッキじゃなくて、それを倒すデッキを想像しているうちにそれらにたどり着くことが多いです。
Finally, what advice do you have for someone looking to play this deck in Modern? What challenges does playing this deck present to people who might pick it up after watching you have so much fun in the feature match area?
ホローワンがランダムで墓地に落ちても決してくじけないことです。
Congratulations on a great match, Ken Yukihiro. Good luck the rest of the way here at Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the news desk. Marie Bertholdi, Rich Hagan, Simon Gertzen. We're all still kind of recovering from that last match in the feature match area. Talk us through why that was so nuts.
So, of course, game 1 was the crazy part. Yeah. We were talking about should Berthoud already concede because the game is locked. And then Louis casts Word of Invention. He just wants to get a Witchbane Orb because then the game is just over. And he goes to his deck once, twice, 3 times. He doesn't find it. Oh. There are 2 Grafdigger's Cages in his... Well, actually, there shouldn't be 2 in his main deck, but there are. That means after sideboarding against Grixis control, he overlooked the fact that he had to take 1 Grafdigger's Cage out of his deck and put it back into his sideboard. It's a mistake, but it's an easy mistake to make because when you see the first Grafdigger's Cage, you don't recognize it as something that doesn't belong in your main deck. And very unfortunately for Louis, the judge's ruling was that this is not a fixable situation. This cannot just be fixed with a warning. So he got a game loss in a board state that was effectively a 1 game against his teammate.
So isn't one of the difficulties there that, like, anecdotally, if that's the first time you've ever seen a Lantern player doing whatever Lantern does, that you're sitting there on the Berthoud side of the table, in a sense you got rewarded for not conceding, but a lot of the time conceding is the right answer there, right?
Yes, and actually it's one of these corner cases where we say, look, he should concede here, right? But then, no, why? Maybe there's an emergency, maybe he has to leave, whatever. I mean, these are these 0.0001% chances, which of course never happen. And this is actually at round 16 of the Pro Tour, failure to correctly de-sideboard. That also doesn't happen. Do you remember that ever happening? I don't.
I do not, no.
So, and the crazy thing is, this couldn't be fixed because of the fact that there is a main deck Grafdigger's Cage and a sideboard Grafdigger's Cage. So there's no way to just swap the Witchbane Orb back in because the judges don't want to take that responsibility of saying this Grafdigger's Cage is the sideboard Grafdigger's Cage.
Well, why don't we hear from the man himself? BDM is down on the floor.
All right, Luis, my heart rate has returned to normal levels. How about yours?
Now I'm perfect, like I'm floating in this smoke.
Now tell us what happened. What's going through your head in that game one? It was, I mean, heart-pounding.
Well, the thing was, the past round I was with 11 victories, and then I won. And usually in a Pro Tour, when you reach the 12th victory in the last round, you can draw into top 8. So I was excited a lot, too much excited to I miss sideboard, the Witchbane Orb, instead the Gravedigger Cage, and didn't realize. And then start to play, and then decide a line looking for the orb, and then realized it was in the sideboard, and I got a game loss.
And what's crazy is if that Witchbane Orb is in there, you basically win that game on the spot.
Yeah, 100% sure. And even if I didn't search for the orb and let draw the Inquisition of Kozilek, also I won. But I decided to search, I don't know why, just to log 100%. Well, it happens.
Now, that put you in a weird spot. You have to 3-0 your match, essentially, because you had virtually won that one. What was that like, playing against a friend, playing for so much, knowing that you made a mistake that put you in this situation?
Well, reaching 12 victories and can't draw means the thing more difficult. So I take a choice to make more difficult. And I won. I knew I will win that round, 2-0, after the mistake. I really knew it. I can't explain, but I knew I will win.
All right. Any words for the Lantern haters out there? You know, this is a deck that people love to complain about. Any advice for what they should do while watching you play tomorrow in your second career Pro Tour Top 8?
The best way to stop hate the deck is play the deck. When you play the deck, you realize the deck is super funny, super hard, and it rewards a lot. Think, and I love to think, so the deck is amazing. I understand it's annoying for the opponents because you don't let play, but well, it's another deck.
All right, get to know the deck, get to know Luis Salvatto. He'll be playing tomorrow in the top 8 of Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan.
All right, so we're into the realm of certainty now, Maria, pretty much. So let's talk about the players we know are in. By our reckoning, it's 7 in, and then 1 with a very strong mathematical chance, Mengucci, 1 with a low mathematical chance, John Finkel. But the first 7, we know that the math is locked. So why don't we start with Pascal Viren?
All right, Pascal Viren, Team Card Market. This is his first top 8 in his 9th Pro Tour. He has 2 GP top 8s, $17,000 in winnings, playing blue-red Pyromancer. What, Simon, generally is this deck's deal?
This is a deck that's almost similar to the Delver-style decks, except that he only relies on young Pyromancer to win the game. This is a classical blue-red control deck. I believe that he's also playing with Thing in the Ice. So that's a pretty spicy card if you want to get rid of opponent's creatures, hit for large amounts of damage.
Now, next up, let's talk about Javier Dominguez, Maria.
Yeah, Javier Dominguez on Team Connected Company. Great showing at this Pro Tour. This is his first Pro Tour top 8, although he did come in 2nd at the World Championships this year. A really great finish there. He has 6 Grand Prix top 8s, 2 wins. He's the all-time Spanish pro point leader, playing the deck of the tournament, 5-color humans.
5-color humans, he's a great aggro player. He has shown that before with Ramonab Red in Standard. Now, 5-color humans, I think it was a great deck choice for him. Many players were either afraid of it or playing it themselves. Pro teams decided to play it, non-pros decided to play it. 5-color humans, the deck of the tournament.
Well, let's hear from the Spanish superstar. He is waiting with Brian David Marshall.
I'm here with Javier Dominguez, the all-time leading pro point earner in the history of Spanish Magic.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Now, I feel like we've been waiting for a little while here to do this top 8 interview. We've talked about this a few times. You have a 9th place finish. You've come so close at the Pro Tour. What does it feel like to finally get that top 8 berth?
Yeah, it's just awesome. It just feels like, you know, like something I've been working a lot to get, like fighting a lot, playing a lot. So it's just, you know, great to finally get there.
Now, Team Connected Company, You guys didn't have a terrific Pro Tour Ixalan. It wasn't very good. You don't even know where you are in the standings coming into this tournament.
Could be 14, 12, 14, whatever. We did a bad TT. Also, we had one less because Raf couldn't attend.
Right, Raf Levy skipped the Pro Tour due to the birth of a child. First Pro Tour in decades.
Yes. So, well, here we're doing good. I'm going to meet Andrea is 8th or 9th. So it's definitely being a good PT for the company. Also, Kalk make some points. Levy, I think he was close to. I don't know his last round, but yeah, I mean it's been great for us.
Yeah, Andrea Mengucci, we're waiting for the top 8 announcement to find out if he'll be in 8th or 9th place. That would put 2 players from Team Connected Company into the top 8 and would probably give you a little boost in the standings, huh?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, I really want him to make the pay. I win my win against him, and he's also one of the players that want me to play this deck for this PT. So yeah, I really want him to be there.
All right, Javier Dominguez, congratulations. I know it's been a long time coming. I can't wait to see you in action tomorrow. Maybe we have a few more interviews in us as we make our way through the day.
Hopefully.
Thanks so much, BDM. Well, let's talk about other players we know mathematically to be in our top 8. Ken Yukihiro, we heard from him just a few minutes ago, locked it up about 2 hours or so ago.
Yeah, 12 and 2.
Doing pretty well. On Team Musashi, of course, the Team Series champions of last season. This will be his 4th Pro Tour top 8. He last got 3rd at Pro Tour Amonkhet. He is a Platinum Pro, has made over $100,000 playing Magic, not too shabby, and this weekend playing Black-Red Hollow One.
Complete surprise deck out of left field. You saw it in the interview. He likes to go rogue. He likes to challenge the opponents with their tier 1 decks. And he's smiling all the way, right?
Yeah.
He's just casting Goblin Lores, burning Inquiries, getting free Hollow Ones into play. This deck is crazy, and it had a 100% conversion rate from day 1 to day 2.
Yeah, and a 100% conversion rate from day 2 to the top 8?
No.
No, not.
There were actually many players playing this deck. Not many players, but
right.
I think the number is around 7 or 8. Because there were a bunch of Japanese pros bringing Black-Red Hollow One, this exact version, to the tournament.
That's incredible. What is also very important for the Team Series is that Team Musashi had a horrible Pro Tour Ixalan by their exalted standards. They were in 16th place coming in. Hugely important to get someone into the top 8 for them. They've done that with Yukihiro, up to 30 points on the line tomorrow for them. But let's move down. Someone else who's in, who we know a little less about, and that's Jean-Emmanuel Depraz of France.
Okay, so this would be his first, will be his first Pro Tour top 8. He's just 23 years old, from France. He went 9-7 at his first Pro Tour back in 2015. Not too bad. Is champion of GP Warsaw last year, playing Traverse Shadow, and I know this is your favorite deck.
It is. Traverse Shadow, I think, was a great choice for this tournament. Even if you don't know the metagame, this deck can just adapt really, really quickly to what the opponents are doing. Sometimes you even like when the aggro decks damage you because your Temur Battle Rage and Death Shadow just become that much more lethal.
Well, down in the feature match area, waiting to have his top 8 slot confirmed, is Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. He's with BDM.
Thanks, Rich. I'm here with Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, Grand Prix Warsaw champion and Pro Tour top 8 competitor. What was your best finish at the Pro Tour prior to this event?
Day 2, 9-7 in my first one. Yeah.
What has helped you at this event? Like, how did you prepare for this tournament, and what do you credit with your success this weekend?
So I tested with the French crew, Pierre Dagen and 8 or 9 other people. I don't want to cite them because I might forget one, but yeah, they have been really helpful. I've been playing my deck for a while, so I knew it well, and as for the psychological aspects, I've been just playing very well since Grand Prix Warsaw, at least much better than before.
Yeah, many players in this tournament had the city's blessing, but he comes with the Wafo's blessing. When Guillaume Matignon called his friend Guillaume Wafo-Tapa to tell him that Jean-Emmanuel was in the top 8, Guillaume Wafo-Tapa's response was, "Of course he is." So that's got to feel pretty nice to have a Hall of Famer have your back like that.
Yeah, he's an incredible player, and I'm very flattered that he answered this way, for sure.
Any decks you're scared to face in the top 8 with your choice for this tournament?
Several, actually. I don't want to face the Abzan mid-range deck from Reed Duke and the Mardu deck from Jerry Thompson. Basically, the 2 Lingering Souls deck that have Lingering Souls in the main deck are pretty bad matchups, I think. But otherwise, I feel pretty good about my chances in the other matchups.
All right. Jean-Emmanuel Duprat, he's going to see if he can traverse the top 8 tomorrow and become a Pro Tour champion here at Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan.
Great pun, BDM. All right, who is next on our list of people we know to be in the top 8? Why, it's none other than Jerry Thompson, Team Metagame Guru's son. This is his 3rd Pro Tour top 8. Of course, your champion from Pro Tour Amonkhet last year, 7th at Gatecrash in 2013, 11 GP top 8s, playing Mardu Pyromancer. We just heard it. He doesn't want to play against Mardu Pyromancer because it's a pretty good deck, all things considered, in this meta.
I still don't know what to say. I mean, we all know Jerry Thompson as a constructed mastermind, great metagamer. He brings this deck. I know exactly one person that plays this deck, and he's always at the top of the leaderboard on the Magic Online in the Magic Online trophy race. Nobody else plays this deck even, because it's just why are you playing Bedlam Reveler when you can play Death Shadow, right? It's rogue, it's tier 2, but it's powerful and it is disruptive. You want to play against the aggro decks that make up a lot of this field. Jerry Thompson, I think, just nailed it with his deck.
Jerry Thompson's a really centered individual, but you don't sometimes have to work at that, especially when you're trying to decide where does Magic fit in to the great life plan. Because sometimes it's a hobby, sometimes it's work. How do you restore balance? He took the time to tell us.
The trick to balancing Magic as a job and both as like a thing we enjoy is it's basically perspective. Like, yes, this is our job and this is like how we make money and pay bills and stuff, but at the end of the day, like we did this and continue doing it because we enjoy it and because it's fun, and hanging out with the people is part of the fun. And you don't, I never really bought into the idea of like, you know, testing should be super regimented, like at 9 o'clock we wake up and we look at the Magic Online results and then we breakfast and then we draft and all this. It's like, it doesn't work like that, because I don't want to be adhering to a schedule necessarily. Like there might be times where I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of stuck. I need to go like take a walk for an hour or whatever and just like clear my mind. And like, you can't do that if you're on a schedule. It's just not fun to me. And once it stops being fun and starts feeling like a job, then that's basically when your results start to suffer, I think, because you have to be enjoying yourself to do this. Like, Magic is not a thing that you can really treat like a job.
All right, so welcome back to the news desk. That's Jerry Thompson. We'll stay in America, shall we? Who's next?
All right, Reed Duke is up next. This is his 3rd Pro Tour top 8 on Team Ultimate Guard. He is 2nd in the World Championships in 2013. He has 6 GP titles. He's playing Abzan.
Abzan, I wasn't expecting. I was expecting Death Shadow, Grixis, and Jund builds, but Reed, well, he's sticking to his guns, basically.
Yeah, he said, you know, I love this deck, and I'm so excited to pull up my Lilianas and everything, and I love hearing that.
I mean, he had it sleeved already, let's be honest.
Yes.
He just picked it up and came here. No, he knows exactly how to play this deck. We saw him in a lot of tight spots where I was thinking, oh, it looks like he's going to lose. The advantage bar, 1 or 2 slots to the left, but then Reed always found these lines, not only playing very well, but also giving his opponent the chance to mess up, to make these little mistakes that kept him in the game. And I think that's the hallmark of a true great player, truly great player.
I could be wrong about this, but just back of the envelope calculations, huge moment for the team series. Ultimate Guard, Reed Duke in the top 8. No one from Genesis, no one from Channel Fireball, no one from Ultra Pro. So the 4th team, Ultimate Guard, are the highest placed team with someone in the top 8. We'll confirm all that tomorrow, but right now, it's time to confirm the top 8. Here comes the announcement of your top 8 for Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the feature match area here in Bilbao, Spain. It's time for our top 8 announcement. It's been a wild ride. In first place with 40 match points from Belgium, Pascal Vieren. And in second place, with 39 match points, from Argentina, Luis Salvatto. In third place, with 38 match points, from Japan, Ken Yukihiro. Four players on 37 match points made it into the top 8. Only one on 36. In fourth place, with 37 match points, from the United States, Jerry Thompson. Fifth place, on 37 match points, from Spain, Javier Dominguez. In sixth place, with 37 match points, from the United States, Reed Duke. That leaves us with one more 37-point finisher here in seventh place. From Poland, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. That leaves one 36-point finisher in our top 8. We have a tiebreaker for this. In 8th place, with 36 match points, from Italy, Andrea Mengucci. Ladies and gentlemen, your top 8 for Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan.
Congratulations, Jerry. Congratulations. Congratulations, Luis. Congratulations. Congrats. Hey, it's your home country. Great job. Reed, congrats. Great job. Good job. Woo! Your fans, they're crazy.